Hello everyone! I wanted to share a recipe back from my Williams-Sonoma days. Most of you probably don't know this, but I used to teach cooking classes at Williams-Sonoma. And we used to make these really delicious pumpkin bars and cranberry bars. Well, the problem is obviously they weren't healthy at all. Basically, it's using a boxed yellow cake mix in different additions so you can get like a cakey bar on the bottom and a crumbly texture with a chewy filling. So, I thought about making a gluten-free version of this, and then I realized all the gluten-free cake mixes in the store are super unhealthy. Even though they're gluten-free, they'll have a ton of starch in them, a ton of sugar, or they're really processed, and even the organic ones aren't, they're just okay. So I thought we could do better than that. So I'm going to show you how to make your own boxed cake mix at home, and you can store it in your freezer. Then take it out whenever you need it, and anytime that a recipe calls for cake mix or you feel like whipping something together that has to do with cake mix, then this will work. So I'm going to start with making a gluten-free flour blend. I love using oat flour. If you have a severe gluten intolerance, you may think oats are not okay for you. Usually that's because of cross-contamination in the facility. So if you don't have a severe problem, you should still look for a package of oat flour that says gluten-free, or purchase oats that say they're gluten-free oats, like, I'll show you these ones here. These are from Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's makes really great effort to make sure that allergens are separated in their facilities, and these are gluten-free. So, to make oat flour, if you have a food processor, you just pulse it until, oh, thanks, Chase. Come say hi. Okay. Anytime you make a flour, if you have a high power blender like a Vitamix or a food processor, all you have to do is just pulse it. I'm making a gluten-free baking flour blend. The ones that you buy in the store are the all-purpose gluten-free flours. A lot of times they have like a garbanzo bean flour, a soy flour. Soy I really try to avoid. It messes with your estrogen levels. So I try to avoid it whenever I can. And garbanzo bean flour, garbanzo beans, don't get me wrong, are really healthy for you, but the combination of the starch and the protein, your body doesn't digest as well. So sometimes that's why when you eat beans or, if you have hummus, you might feel a little bit bloated afterwards. And they're really high in starch. So I'm going to use oat flour, which is a starch, but it has lots of fiber. Also some brown rice flour, because brown rice flour has a good amount of protein in it. And arrowroot starch. This is the only starch that doesn't really affect, how could I say this? It doesn't really act as a starch in your body. So you won't have the same bloating, fatigue as you would with a normal like cornstarch or something like that. So to make your flour blend, equal parts of everything. So if you need a ton and you just want to have a flour blend in your pantry, then equal parts always. For the recipe that I'm going to make tonight, the pumpkin bars, I only need 2 cups. So I'm going to use, I have a third cup here, so equal parts of these 3 flours, and I'm just going to make 2 cups of it. So I'm just going to turn my food processor on and pulse everything together. Exciting! Okay, so I have 2 cups of my gluten-free flour blend in here, and now I'm going to start making the cake mix. So I'm going to put a 1/4 cup chia seeds in here, and I need to make sure that these blend up pretty well. Chia seeds are packed with omega fatty acids. They also have tons of protein and fiber and more antioxidants than blueberries. I really love chia seeds, and I try to incorporate them in everything I do. These in the cake mix will be acting as a thickener. That way when I add my liquid in, when I'm actually making the cake, they'll bind to those chia seeds and kind of get a jelly-like texture. If you put chia seeds in water, same with flax seeds, if you put them in water, they plump up and turn into like a pudding kind of texture. So that's what they'll be doing in my cake mix. Then I'm going to be putting in a 1.5 cups coconut sugar. Coconut sugar I really like. It has a flavor of brown sugar, similar. I think it actually tastes a little bit better than brown sugar. And it has lots of vitamins and minerals. And it's lower in glycemic index, so it won't affect your blood sugar the same. you won't experience the same sugar crash that you do with typical sugar. So 1 cup, and I know this is a lot, but we're making a pretty big cake mix to store. So 1.5 cups coconut sugar, chia seeds in there, and I'm gonna pulse this up because these are the chunkier things. I want to make sure that they get pretty purified, especially those chia seeds. I want them to really break up. So while this is blending, I'm going to add in a tablespoon of baking powder. And I like the aluminum-free baking powder. I just showed you the ingredients. The aluminum-free baking powder. Because aluminum causes cancer, and we already interact with enough of it. So it's good to limit it. And then I'm going to do a ½ teaspoon of Celtic sea salt. Celtic sea salt is higher in mineral content than traditional salt and actually has great health benefits. So don't worry so much about your salt intake when it comes to mineral salts like Celtic or Himalayan, my favorites. So that's blending up. Okay, now I'm going to add some coconut oil. I have ½ cup coconut oil, cold, so it's hard. If it's wintertime wherever you are, your coconut oil stored in a cabinet will be hard. If you're, say, in Australia right now and it's your summertime, it's going to be like liquid. So if you're in a hot climate, store it in the refrigerator, and if not, then yeah, just have it like this. Because for this recipe, I prefer to have my coconut oil cold at all times, and then I can just easily melt it if I ever need like it in a liquid form. And I'm going to add this in little chunks, little hard chunks through here. That blends up a bit. I don't really want this to be chunky. I want it to feel a little gritty. So now my mixture, it resembles kind of like sand. I'll show you what it's like. Real crumbly, real sandy. The coconut oil will harden in some areas, so I'm just going to go through and like kind of break it up. And then I'll pulse it once more. I don't want this to be like cookie dough. I want it to be like a dry cake mix. Okay. You want to be careful not to mix it too much because the coconut oil will start to heat up and it will liquefy and then it will turn into a dough. We don't want that. That's why you're going to store this in your freezer. Winston! Oh my goodness. Winston, he's always just getting in the way, you know. Oh, hi, Maverick. Okay. This is crumbly goodness, and I'm just going to mix this up one more time, and then we're good to go. I wonder if more animals will appear. Oh my god. That is my dorky fiance. Gotta love him though, because he makes me laugh. Okay, so cake mix is done. There's a few pieces that look like they're chunks that aren't mixed in, but it's just because the coconut oil started to heat up a bit. So when you freeze this, this will be perfect. And use this for whatever you would usually use cake mix for. So if you wanted to make this like a regular yellow cake, you would just mix up 3 eggs, a 1/3 cup of melted oil, like coconut oil, and 1 1/3 cup nut milk or water, and a teaspoon of vanilla because you can't add vanilla to this. It would be too liquidy if you wanted a vanilla cake, but if you don't, then don't add vanilla. But there's actually like lots of cool things you can do with cake mix. Look it up on Pinterest. Pinterest has really cool unconventional ways to use different things, because you can make everything from biscuits to cookies to pumpkin bars. It's really good by itself. But I forgot to mention, bake it 325 for a cake, and whether it's cupcakes, round cake, whatever, always until a toothpick in the center comes out with a few crumbs on it. People will always say until it comes out clean, but if it comes out clean, most likely your cake is burnt and dry. So a few crumbs, maybe a little gooiness if you're like me and you like a really super moist cake. But yeah, 325 is a good low and slow temp. Final cake mix step, put it in a bag like so, and stick it in the freezer or refrigerator. I'll probably just stick mine in the freezer, and even though I'm going to use this right now, I want it to sit in the refrigerator or freezer for a little bit to cool it down. That way my coconut oil stays firm. Alright, have fun making your gluten-free, healthy, delicious cakes and creations.